Make time for what matters most. It sounds like cliche advice, but every year that I grow older, it is advice that is proving itself to be more and more true. Michelle and I have been married for almost 10 years now. We'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary on July 20th. And, we're planning to go away, hopefully to Hawaii. Um, but, there are things that we've learned in these 10 years, and our marriage has evolved over those 10 years. At the beginning of our marriage, we had less kids and we had more time. And, there's different levels of excitement about things at the beginning of something as to the kind of levels of excitement you have 10 years into something. And so we've had to set aside time for things. And I think in the past couple of years, we've really started to do that. I think it started with the finances. In 2022 was probably the first year where I really felt as though Michelle and I were really getting on the same page with finances. Like we agreed conceptually about a lot of things, but we weren't really on the same page. And so we started to get together for lunch every Friday. And it's fun to get together for lunch. And the reason we started to do that was because it mattered that we got on top of our finances. And the amount of money that we saved by having lunch together and doing our finances basically paid for the lunch. So that's been really cool. And this year we're continuing to do the same thing, except that in the past year, I was the person writing everything down, moving all the transactions, and this year she's doing that. And so we've sort of swapped perspectives. And it's not always easy. Sometimes you can have some real heated conversations because, if you're not having heated conversations, you're not really passionate about it. You probably don't really care if you're not having any kind of heated discussion sometimes. And so it's been really, really good. But, finances isn't the only thing that matters. And 10 years into a marriage, we've realized that at the beginning of the marriage, we had a lot of time, not as many children. And now, almost 10 years in, a lot of our time is taken up by kids' activities with schools, commitments in general, working, just so many things that suck your time and your energy out, that sometimes the things that are very important, such as finances, a healthy marriage, they kind of get left to the wayside. So, we started meeting on Thursdays as well, and we just sit down and we just talk. We just talk through things, and we bring some structure to our meetings, and it's nice. It's a time for us to just sit down and take all of the things that are constantly just screaming with urgency. So-and-so needs to get to soccer practice or basketball practice, or so-and-so needs to get to dance, or this form's got to be taken to the school. All of that stuff, you take it and you shove it to the side. And here we're going to sit down. You're going to take your phone, put it downward, and you're just going to talk about this one topic. And that one topic is, how are we doing right now? Or how are the finances right now? Or whatever it is that matters, setting aside that time to say, this is where our focus is going to be. You both know what the subject is. You both get your brains and you both get into gear and start talking about it. And if you start doing that every week, you start to see the improvements that come from that. And so this is stuff that I wish that we had done earlier. I really, if you don't sit down and talk about things, what really happens is things are left unsaid. Whether that's finances in a relationship in general, or just whatever it is. Like, there are things that you think that are left unsaid, or assumptions are made, and walls of resentment can be built. And by having constant communication and just allowing those discussions to happen, it really helps keep things healthy, and makes both people feel much more respected. And so, it's interesting because I feel as though in any situation when someone's giving advice for like a healthy marriage, they'll say communication is key, but no one really explains what they even mean by that. And I really think that meeting frequently and having those discussions is what the communication is. It's like intent. An intent to communicate is very important. But this extends beyond this as well, because an example would be at work, right? If I have several projects or several tasks that I'm trying to complete, and some of those are very important. You've got people constantly messaging you about them. And so those things are progressing because people are tapping it, right? They're pushing it, they're nudging it along. And then there's other things where you have the stakeholders that are a little bit quieter. They don't want to rock the boat too much, and their tasks don't get done. And when that happens, it leaves me feeling very unsuccessful. And I really want to complete things like that. And a simple solution is simply to set up a meeting with that person, 15 minutes, 30 minutes a week, just to touch base, to say, hey, where are we with this? And I've actually done this with a few things now, and it's crazy how it helps something evolve. Or evolve. Evolve is the wrong word. I don't know why I'm saying evolve. It's crazy how it helps something progress. And even to the point in which one of my tasks, it isn't even my responsibility to complete the task anymore. But I've kept the meeting, and I'm almost acting like the middleman right now because it's still someone on my team, just to keep it rolling, because I felt bad. This task had jumped so many people and just had never got finished. And it isn't even complicated. It's just a bunch of conversations that need to be had. And setting aside the time to have those conversations has literally helped move the task forward. It's really crazy. And so, personal life, work, it also applies in other areas. When I wanted to take singing lessons, going to the actual singing lessons was the easy part. Setting them up was probably the most challenging thing that I had to do. And I think with undiagnosed ADHD, I kept thinking and thinking and thinking about it. It's the task that's always swirling around my head. And eventually I just was like, I got to do this. I got to do it. And I did it. And I'm not doing it right now. I've canceled them at this point, just, for several reasons. But I did it. And then I went to music lessons for, I don't know, over half a year. Singing lessons. And I felt really, really good about it. But the point is that I set aside the time, and I can see that by setting aside the time and I guess the money as well, it has really helped me improve my vocals. And now that I've stopped that, though, the next thing that I want to do, the next thing I want to set aside time for, is to find a resource to help me actually, get my ADHD diagnosis. Or if it isn't ADHD, then whatever diagnosis or whatever I need. But I need to stop sitting here and talking about it, and I need to actually do something about it. And the difference between nothing happening and something happening from like point A to point B is literally just me calling and making an appointment. That's it. That's the difference. That is a minuscule amount of effort. I keep making stuff fall down. It's a minuscule amount of effort. I've spent more time talking about this, significantly more time talking about it than it would have ever taken me to just look it up, call someone, book an appointment. I have health insurance. It would be covered. So that's going to be one of my goals. Got to get that done. Got to make time for what matters. And I want to try ADHD medication. And if that matters to me, I got to make the time for it. Anyway, that is all for today. 10 minutes in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.